really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about. Yes,
There
sir.
Trust.
He's pretty big trust. Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir.
Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me close.
We are back on the Jumbo Set podcast. It is Wednesday night, April 23rd. Top of the hour here, coming up on 7 p.m. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined by Spenny Draft. How are we doing tonight, pal? You got your OC polo on. Is that right?
OC Golf Club, 1959, baby.
Yeah.
I am doing all right. I finally chopped a bunch of my hair off, which feels great. I was trying to grow it back out, got to the awkward stage. I was like, I feel ugly and fat. I want to cut my hair off now. The awkward stage always stinks.
There comes a time when you have to either commit or you just get completely spooked. And I've been in that position many a time, and I've been spooked many a time.
It happens to the best of us. So feeling good on that front. Been traveling a bunch, been working a bunch. And yeah, if you are watching the Baltimore Orioles, you don't have to anymore. You can just join us and maybe keep score on your phone. And
as I opened the stuff,
it's 3-0 now. 3-0.
Oh, good. Yeah, as we were literally just laughing as we were getting started because Subiano apparently gave up a bomb to James Wood to start the game out, and it sounds like he is giving up another one. But
there we go. You can just turn that off. You can hop in here with us. We're just talking NFL draft. We're not worried about them O's right now. We got my favorite event of the year. I think this has been me. I can't tell. I can't tell if I'm getting old and craggy or if this draft just isn't as exciting as usual.
We were talking about this in the group chat a little bit today with the other guys, and my contention was that it might be a little bit of both, but I also I've had some juice for recent drafts like 2021 where they went into it with 2 first-round picks after trading Orlando Brown, and then 22 they had a higher pick, and then they also wound up trading Hollywood while we were live in my old studio there at my folks' house. So that was a really fun one as well. And then recently I think it's a combination of you get a little bit older and it's harder to follow, but also they've been picking in the back half of the first round pretty much, more often than not the Lamar era, which is a good problem to have, but it's also I don't know if I am really that juiced up about these players. Shadur Sanders is exciting, but it's kind of some of these guys like Cam Ward, it feels like he's been a lock at number 1 for a long time. Not a whole lot of buzz there. Some of these receivers,
I think part of it might be it's the Titans and the Browns and the Giants picking at the top of the draft, and they have just been a pit of misery over the last 2 years. There's no flair, no pizzazz there at the top. The quarter, I really do like Cam Ward a lot. We can talk about that maybe. I've liked him for years. I've thought he is an NFL stud with a fucking hose, and I think he can be really successful in many ways, but there's not a ton of quarterback juice. I mean, last year it was Caleb Williams, Jaden Drake,
right.
Man, there's a lot more quarterback juice.
Good players, exciting, but it kind of felt prescribed at the top there. Interesting from King Giz and the Liz Wiz here. Every team owns their first round pick, which has not happened in 20 years. Shit is about to happen. That's interesting. I was listening to Nate Tice this morning on one of the NLU pods doing a little draft preview, and he was kind of recounting my favorite draft moment of all time when the Vikings missed their pick, and they wind up getting Kevin Williams, and Nate's dad obviously was the coach at the time, and he explained it as the owner walked in literally right as they're about to turn in the card and says, "I don't have top 10 money," because this is pre 2011 CBA, so he was trade the pick immediately, so they couldn't get their pick in. I really hope with something that hasn't happened in 20 years, I hope another something that hasn't happened in 20 years and somebody passes and they have to wait a couple more picks to make theirs.
That would be fun. That was one of the more fun moments of all time, at least in our lifetime of the NFL draft. That's up there with Ricky Williams being acquired for an entire draft class.
It's the dick smoking the cigar. Just couldn't be more pleased with himself. Yeah.
Yep. So that was probably the last time that running back stock was higher than it is right now. A lot of the mocks I like. I always shout out Ben Albright every year. He's very plugged in. He's got 3 running backs in the first round. I have stood into the wind and hit my stinger into the wind, hoping to get on the green in terms of holding strong that running backs are, worthwhile endeavors, especially as draft picks, as opposed to paying in free agency. Like, I would love to draft. I talked about it with Jahmyr Gibbs years ago. I'd love to draft Jahmyr Gibbs instead of pay someone. I don't hate paying someone, as we know, but that's exciting, I suppose. Like that's why this draft isn't exciting. The positions that are deep are running back. It's like, I get like edge rusher, but it's like there's Abdul Carter, there's a little bit at the top, and then it's like deep. It's not really a deep class at like corner with a ton of talent, or receivers, not this buzzing group like it's been over the last as long as we've been doing this podcast every year, Jake, it's felt like there's been deep talent at receiver, and there's been a bunch of polarizing takes about guys at the top of the draft. There's not really that guy, that dude in this class, like Tet McMillan. I mean, Travis Hunter, of course, is going to play receiver. It sounds like he absolutely is the shit, and we'll talk about him maybe. But it's not like, oh, there's Olave and Garrett Wilson and Drake. There's not all these top 20 guys, all that conversation. Even the class Zay Flowers was in with Njigba and those cats it felt like a little more solid. I don't know. So quarterback, not a lot of pizzazz. Corner, not really a ton of pizzazz. Like receivers, all right. It's your meat and potatoes. It's your freaking
that portends well for the Ravens, though. If they were to make a pick without pizzazz, that could work out pretty well for them. It has in the past.
There you go. Shout out to one Mike Preston. But so it's your potatoes and broccoli draft class, and I think that teams might be a lot more excited than fans are because of that. And we live in the fantasy football world, right? The average football consumer likes the guys that touch the football. And with the Eagles and the Lions and what the Commanders did to rebuild the trenches and all these teams that made super deep runs last year based off of their offensive lines and their defensive fronts and the ability to run the ball. That's this kind of class, very much so. It is a pretty top heavy. Actually, I'll say it's not like top heavy, but there's more like guards that are second round kind of guys than there has been in a few years. There's more centers that are available in rounds 2 and 3. There's a bevy of guys that have some versatility. So teams might be a little bit more excited here than fans are.
Yeah, which, those two things usually do go in opposition to one another. So interesting to see how that all is going to play out. And yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about the top. It does seem like Cam Ward, kind of your lead pipe lock there at number 1. And yeah, we'll obviously see Hunter go very highly. Shedeur Sanders has had kind of an interesting path here. Like, is he a guy who's going to maybe fall a little bit to the mid or late first round? We're not totally sure. The first 10 picks in the second round might be more exciting than the first round goes. So I don't know. I think you're right with a lot of meat and potatoes, and like definitely I get a little bit more of my bias from the Ravens, where it's like, who are they going to be picking? And when it does get toward that back half of the first round, you naturally are going to have less of those quote unquote valuable positions available. So you'll see a lot of like, oh, it's this Gray Zabel guy from North Dakota State who's kind of interior lineman, Tyler Booker, another one of those, and then some of these edge guys that maybe aren't as twitched up. And it's either that or they don't have the production and they are twitched up. So you're not getting anybody without some flaws at the bottom of the first round, which the Ravens are no stranger to being there. And so we're going to see how they navigate this. And they've done a decent job for what it's worth the last several years. I mean, Nate Wiggins looking like a pretty good pick. And I mean, you can't forget about him. And maybe we'll discuss day 2 and 3 a little bit, but you get Rosengarten last year as well, who's looking like a future starter for you, which is nice. And it's just kind of one of those things where I made this point recently. It might've been on Kevin's show actually, where it's like a draft is just, you want to talk about getting older. Like the older I get, the more I realize like, and it's almost a cliche at this point, but it bears repeating that draft grades like the night after are just the stupidest thing ever. Like it is literally a 3 to 4 year process that you're undergoing.
Scott Van Pelt last night, as I was watching hockey and fading into him, he was just going bananas. That's his like number one thing. Like fuck draft grades.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I get it. Like these people got to make their money. And like, it's a little bit of context on that night, but literally all that is doing is it's saying like, oh, I had this guy graded here. Therefore they got him earlier. That is higher value according to me. So my grade on them is going to be higher and vice versa. But really that's just like not how it works. Like teams and medias, the way they view these guys are very different for one thing. And then for another thing, that's not taking into account the fact that, especially for a lot of these guys on day 3 or so, you're counting on a lot more of a longer window to develop. You know, you look at a Fulele, you look at a Tylan Wallace, some of these guys that have turned into solid role players for the Ravens, you know, they were day 3 picks in 2022 and 2021. So yeah, it's a longer process than can be accounted for at once. And I think the more I realize that, maybe the less I get hyped for it, you know, as germane to the upcoming year. I think if you get one starting player out of a draft in their first year, you're probably in a pretty good spot. And then the rest of them developing is on you. And I think thankfully for the Ravens, they have a good track record of doing that. So
they do. And they have so many picks. And to the point that was made in the chat a moment ago, that every team owns their first round pick, which is nuts. I had heard some snifflings a couple months ago. The Ravens really did want to push their chips in a little more. I haven't heard anything since, but we can kind of talk trades. OA has been floated. Andrews has been floated, things like that. With all of those picks and with the way their roster sits, I just don't see a path for the Ravens specifically to sit tight like they pretty much did in 2018, with the last time they had an inordinate amount of picks, which they 11 picks feels like a once in a lifetime.
Well, they did in 21 as well, right? That's when they picked Stout, Kolar, and Likely all in the front. Like, yeah, and it's like I remember we said that year on a show, there is no way they're going to hang on to all these picks. What do? They just sit back and they pick 11 guys, and 5 of them in the 4th round, and one of them is a punter for some reason. And it's just like sometimes it seems like it makes sense that they would do one thing, then they just, buck the trend and do the opposite. But
they do. They love just picking and picking and picking. I just literally don't see the roster availability. Like, I don't see 11 straight up dudes making this roster at all. Are they scared to cut a 7th round pick? They used to be. They're not anymore. That's one of the honestly bigger changes, it feels like, from Ozzie Newsome to Eric DeCosta in terms of roster evaluation and roster construction is they will cut a mofo. They will get rid of a Tyler Beatty. They will drop someone quickly for those day 3 pick guys. But yeah, I mean, we have said it before, and sure, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times. Shame on you. Shame. George Bush, whatever the hell he said.
Yeah, we won't get fooled again.
We won't get fooled again. But I don't know. I really don't see that being viable for the Ravens specifically, but that could be that they trade out of this draft and trade to get more picks in next year's draft as they stand. So never know. Never know. They have Stuck and Puck, Ajabo, Travis Jones, those 4th round picks. I mean, nothing dramatic. 2020, they had a good bit of picks. Queen, Dobbins, Matabike. I believe they traded around with Dobbins. I think they messed around in the 2nd and 3rd round to get Dobbins and Matabike. And then, like we said, I mean, Orlando Brown, Mark Andrews, Anthony Averett, Young, Scott, Jordan Lasley, Deshaun Elliott, Greg Sinnett, Bozeman, Sealer. So I don't know. I do not know what lies in that sense, but I would be pretty surprised if the Ravens don't make some sort of move. To me, it feels like in this class, if they do not trade an Andrews or an OA or make some sort of Hollywood Brown-like move that we don't quite see coming, but kind of feels like we have an inkling because of that Hollywood Brown situation, then I look at Nate Wiggins as a player. It's like if you're picking late, it's going to be a one player that checks every single box except for one, and they clearly won't check that box. And last year, Nate Wiggins, it was weight and didn't end up being a big deal. He made an immediate impact. He was an immediate heavy contributor to the Ravens in 2024. And I think that's exactly what they need again. They do need an immediate impact out of their 1st round pick. And you can say 2nd round pick, but it's back of the 2nd round, whatever. I think, again, you need someone at the same positions. We talked about it the last time we recorded a month ago. It's at guard, it's at linebacker, it's at edge rusher, defensive tackle, safety. It's got to be somebody at one of those positions, it feels like, that can play quick and make an impact for you quick, and you can rely on by October, by November, to be in a heavy rotation or a starter. So there's a handful of players. We can get into all of that. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of why this hasn't just been an exciting pre-draft process, particularly for the Ravens. But the draft is here. It's in the huge city of Green Bay, which some pretty funny quotes are coming out of. People say, like Travis Hunter was like, "Oh, I love Green Bay. Like, it's my kind of place. There's nothing to do here but just be outside." And then there's like Green Bay defenders. I saw Ian Kenyon saying Green Bay actually has a population of 300,000. And then I went and Googled that and was like, no, it fucking doesn't.
It absolutely does not. Like that, if you've like looked
That's like
up,
almost the size of Baltimore.
yeah, no, it's like I don't know where he's getting that from. I'm sure it's a lovely place. I don't mean to dog on it. And in fact, like
it just doesn't have that many people. That's all we're saying.
Which must be great. I mean, you want to talk about cost of living, talk about a lot of great things that you could probably point to about Green Bay. I don't know if we need to warp this narrative that it's this amazing place, but it is just funny, like total non sequitur too. And I know we mention this every now and again, but if a new sports league were to start, there's just in today's day and age, there's just no way that they would put a team in Green Bay or a team in Buffalo. And I think it's cool not only that that team is still there and very successful, but they're getting something like the NFL draft, which is great. So good for them. But yeah, I mean, like going to the point about trades, like you're getting to a point in the process now where if you're not getting like a second round pick or like an early third for an Andrews, that's going to kind of piss me off if you're just going to move on from this guy for essentially nothing that can help you in 2025. That would annoy me. I feel like for an OA, like you probably could, Orlando Brown situation or a Hollywood Brown situation. I feel like you probably could get a late first round pick for an OA, especially the type of year that he had last season. You could probably sell a team on that, but I don't know. It's just like that would strike me as weird. And it's certainly 16.5 or whatever that cap hit is for what may very well be a rotational tight end this year. It's a lot of money. I get it. But it's just we're getting to a point now where he's probably going to be more useful to this team for 2025 on it rather than off it. And you could think about the type of compensatory pick you can get for him. That's sort of the value prop. So I'm not like totally unopposed to moving on from him. It's just the timing would be weird at this point, and I would like to see a solid return for him. And then, OA as well. Like I said, I feel like that would be one where you could probably flip a decent pick for that, but where does that leave you? Or you're going to have to draft a guy, at edge who's going to need to make an immediate impact. So a lot of things to consider here with these moves.
I don't really get, unless you receive a veteran player that you would like to extend. I'll point to Micah Parsons. That's the only type of circumstance that makes sense to me would be, the Ravens trade Mark Andrews and Odafe Owe and a higher pick to the Cowboys and get back a lower pick for Micah Parsons, who they extend to a record contract. That would be the only circumstance that those moves make sense. Even further to your point, you have 11 picks. So what do you want another third round pick for Mark Andrews? I don't get it. I know he dropped footballs in Buffalo. I know. Isaiah Likely very better could be in mirror worlds where one has no Mark Andrews and one has Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely very well could be more productive and better. And I can certainly subscribe to that logic and see it. I don't think you're crazy for saying it. But there's also a third world where you don't have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in the sport of football misses a substantial amount of time. And then that fucking sucks.
His gloves were wet.
His gloves were all soaking wet, and he just couldn't hold on to that football. And he's got a sweet little TikTok dancing girlfriend who made him feel all better about it, and he's fine now.
Poor guy.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about again. I just am at a loss for words. It's truly one of the most baffling in all of my Baltimore sports fandom. That may be the most baffling thing of my conscious, alert, alive, and awake fandom. That Mark Andrews just fucking sucks in the playoffs and is one of the most notable players in Ravens franchise history. I love the dude. I've stood on soapboxes for him many times. I don't know why he is so bad in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't have anything for you.
He might be a symptom of something greater going on, as we've talked about ad nauseum, and we don't have to get into on draft night. The playoff demons can't hurt us. It's April still.
Very, very true. So we don't have to get into all of that, but we said we're going to do buy or sell, trading Mark Andrews. I'm only buying it if it is for a higher impact player and that helped get you there. If it is for an edge rusher, perhaps, I don't know, a tackle, a corner, those would be the only things where I'd be like, yes, okay, yep, that makes sense. And it sucks the way it ends, but just
And
removing
like,
the emotion from it.
Like there might be guys that are like, hey, Chicago, come on down. Like you need a security blanket for little Caleb. Like we got one for you right here. He'd be great.
They've got, yeah, sure. But it's like, there's also a lot of highly paid. I just don't know where the spot would be that would, I mentioned the Cowboys. Ferguson is a fine fucking tight end. You mentioned the Bears. Komet is a paid, both of those guys are paid fine tight ends. So it's like, where is there going to be this magic pill where Ravens fans want him gone? So he's not valuable to the Ravens. So then why is he valuable to other teams beyond maybe a third or fourth round pick, which you already have 11 picks in this draft? So I just don't see
New England. Come on down.
The money itself is the only thing. And at this point, if you're not,
it's 1 year of it. Like you're going to get
the Ravens aren't making a move for a player they have to pay. Then why do they need that money now? That's
right.
That's why I only see it working that way, as I'm making my paws move like a kitty cat on the screen for those that are watching.
Yeah. No,
maybe a ball of yarn or something.
Right. It's 1 year and then he'll be off the books and you'll get a comp pick for him. So yeah, it would have to be pretty significant. Like I understand, like,
and to your point about Owe, it's the same thing. It's like you're making a subtraction that's going to double the addition you already need to make.
Right.
So I need a player out of that. There's been this one that's been floated around. Like
I've seen that. Yeah.
Zion Johnson and Chargers swap Mark Andrews and Zion. Like, okay, sure.
I don't know if the Chargers would say yes to that.
It's just, that would be, does it make sense in Madden? Probably. Does it make sense? I mean, it would just be, that would be a needle in a haystack of haystacks to be like, oh, this makes sense. And it ends up happening. So does it make sense? Sure. In ways, but that's kind of our ranting and my ranting and raving on those topics. I just don't, especially just for mid-round picks. I just don't understand. You have them. You have the mid-round picks. You have all of them. You literally have all of them. You have 11. What do you want? 12 players in this class? 13? I don't see the vision of what that does other than simply freeing up money. And they need to acquire someone for that to make sense to me. They would need to acquire a big ticket item.
It's either that or you just re-sign Kyle Hamilton literally the second he's out the door.
But Mark Andrews' money is not going to impact Kyle Hamilton because if the extension happens, that money it would be an extension of his current contract.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So that literally doesn't even matter.
None of it really makes sense to me. None of it makes sense. So I don't know. I know that there were talks. We know that there were talks. Cole's talked about it as well. We know there were talks, and I don't think the Ravens got back enough value at that time. Maybe someone does offer a top 50 pick. I don't know. Maybe that is worth it to you, but don't see it. But it's just like at the same time I laugh because when there's smoke, there's fire. When you have that many picks, and we sit here and we're like, well, they're not going to sit on 11 picks.
And the fact that it's like starting up, the fire is starting up again this week, right? Where it's like that we had already heard this we heard it first from Cole, then we heard it again from Shefty, I think recently, and then it kind of kicked up again this week. So the smoke is certainly billowing.
That's what's interesting. Like the only things we have are the past moves that Eric DeCosta's made, and the Hollywood Brown move came out of vapor. It synthesized instantaneously. We watched the Ravens pick Kyle Hamilton. We were like, oh, sick. And then bam, bam, they just made that move. We had no fucking clue. The Lamar Jackson contract, completely silent. When they've made additions, Derrick Henry, they did sniff around. Roquan Smith, they liked going back to the draft, and Yannick Ngakoue, they'd sniffed around at times, but it just feels like when it comes to trades, extensions, those bigger moves that require more moving parts, we just don't hear much of it until it's time. It's done, I should say. So how will tariffs impact draft day trades? That's a great question. Buy, Todd, sell. That's about all I've got there.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, I guess it just leads us into this draft itself. And to me, last year we did the Jimmy famous seafood. We're not doing anything big this year. We've just had a lot on our plates, but I made a list, I think last year of maybe 7 or 8 players. I might even have that in here somewhere. I probably deleted it. We might have that in our media assets here beside the scenes. Yeah, we definitely deleted that. But I think I had like a list of like 8 names, and then Nate Wiggins wasn't on there, I don't think. don't think I put him on there for some
I
reason.
I specifically remember that you mentioned him of like all the names that we had talked about. You mentioned him specifically to Trenton Simpson. And obviously there's a Clemson connection there. So that's why you brought it up to him. But he was like the only name that I remember you talking about. And then he winds up being the pick. I was like, little serendipity there.
It was serendipitous for sure. But the names that we see mocked, like Malachi Starks, I guess is a good place.
So I have 27 names. Do you want to just go through them all of what's been mocked to the Ravens? All right. Defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, Oregon. Buy or sell that he could be the pick?
Buy.
Yeah.
I definitely buy that one. He is a hashtag my guy. He is scheme fluid. He would be able to move up and down the line for the Ravens. He can get after the passer, and he's a handful against the run. Buy.
Right. And so he would slot in immediately, and he'd be kind of a day one starter because I'm seeing the 311 pounds. I'm liking the size. I'm liking the profile. I'm liking this idea. And, obviously the Oregon defensive tackle connection, you like that too with Haloti.
You do like that. And with Michael Pierce retiring, Derek Harmon, not a nose. He's like, he's not a nose, but he can play nose for you. Something Dane Brugler has said that I felt the opposite of. Dane Brugler, it stuck out to me. He said he has sloppy body weight. I kind of like that on a defense. Like, if you're between the guards, I want you to have some fucking slop.
We've got Matt Abike there, who's just this like cut up, just block of stone. Like I wouldn't mind. Yeah, he's skinny fat. We got that from Matt Miz here. Interesting.
Skinny fat. Yeah, that's such a weird thing to base all of it off of. I don't know. He has effort. He is durable. I'll say he's black belt, hand certified. I put him on my guys. He's grabbing your wrists. He's karate. He's karate, all of it. So buying that pick for sure. He feels like what was the NC State basketball forward? DJ Burns. Is that his name?
DJ Burns last year. Yeah, that was a fun.
It reminds me of him in a way, like DJ Burns football edition. Like he's just fucking getting after it.
DJ Burns, I think. He talked about like going to mini camps. I don't know if he actually did it, but he was like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to the NBA. So like, let's maybe try my hand at tackle or something.
Definitely. And there's still ways for him to get more efficient, but technically I feel good. I feel good about the athlete. I think he shed a lot of weight from when he was a freshman. From what I recall, I think he came in with actual crazy fat and has slimmed down a ton. So, again, as much as we love to talk about what you can do with like in the year 2025, if someone plays at Oregon or Ohio State or LSU or Alabama or Tennessee or Clemson, Nate Wiggins ain't gaining any fucking weight. If Clemson couldn't put 10 pounds on him, he's not gaining 10 pounds. Like it's not happening. Derek Harmon is not going to have a complete body recomp coming out of Oregon with a nicer facility and probably a more expensive strength and conditioning staff than the Baltimore Ravens or any NFL team.
He was, yeah. So he was at Michigan State for his first 3 years and then transferred to Oregon. But yeah, I mean, those are both like pretty well-funded programs to your point. I think he would probably would have found a way to figure that out.
Yeah. So there's those conversations about him and just so many prospects in general. I just don't think you're seeing the draft itself can enable a body recomp, because guys will train so intensely on explosives for the 40, for their jumps, and for whatever they want teams to see. That is like the final body recomp to me. And it just doesn't happen often in the NFL anymore. I mean, if a guy's super young, maybe, but you got to be pretty chiseled to get into the league. Like, I don't know. What is it? I can't even think of an example. Who's someone who has completely reshaped their body even in the NFL in the last couple of years? I'm blanking even off the top of my head on anything like that. Like, guys have switched position. Hassan Reddick was back and forth between linebacker. Like Isaiah Simmons, there's these tweener skill sets, but body type, I don't think.
I can think of some quarterbacks. Like, I feel like Brady actually would be one of those guys who definitely like reformed himself a little bit, but not like dramatically. And that's kind of what you're talking about with these positional players, where it's like you're used to getting to a certain weight and it's like actual work to do that for these guys, to the point where it's like it would be even harder to like add another gear. And it's like, all right, now I'm gonna like switch up my body comp and like do all this, that, and the other. I don't know. It's a tough one.
There we go. So that was just some filibustering. We got 26 more of these bad boys we can rip.
NFL comp, there was Daquan Jones per our boy Zierline. Next one, Jalen Walker, linebacker, Georgia.
All reports are that he's gone. I see him to the Panthers a lot. I see him, and that connected further on something I already had in my mind. They're not the same, but he does a little bit remind you of Brian Burns coming out of Florida State a few years ago. The Panthers trade Brian Burns to the Giants. He gets a massive extension, and then they would go replenish with Jalen Walker, which would make a ton of sense. That's one of my favorite top 10-ish linkages. Links. I should just linkages. What the hell is that? Links. But yeah, Jalen Walker, I mean, drops all the way to the Ravens. Sure. He has been kind of a top 10 talent. Electric rusher would be fun in terms of his ability to be positionless. He just really is a freak off the line of scrimmage. His get off is outstanding and would be a really fun chess piece for the Ravens. I mean, I'd buy that for the Ravens.
Yeah, so that was probably one of the earlier ones then before he skyrocketed. How about defensive tackle Walter Nolan, Ole Miss?
Walter Nolan, my issue at my current in 2025, my thoughts on why Walter Nolan embodies, Mike Green is another one, simply embodies what I think makes the entire discussion we're having and really scouting as a whole from the outside a fruitless, useless exercise in ways. Walter Nolan, I love on tape. Walter Nolan is explosive. He can get better against the run, scout what guys can do. However, is he a piece of shit? Like, is he a bad person? Does he not want to work? Those are the reports that come out, that he gets into bad situations and maybe doesn't have the highest character. So I think there's 5 to 10 players in any class and they don't always end up being first round guys. I mean, sorry, Tyreek Hill, not a great person at all, but they are so talented that, I mean, Tyreek Hill, I feel like he's a hard worker as a football player regardless, but
so is Antonio Brown. He was like the hardest worker in the NFL for a long time.
Exactly. But so both of them very successful in the field. So even separating the character concerns, James Pierce is the kind of epicenter of this discussion. He's probably on our list. Are you going to show up to practice? Are you going to practice hard? Are you going to study? Are you going to be a professional? Okay. If yes, then you'll probably be at least solid, worthy player of a selection. If no, if you don't love football or you don't like it really, and you don't really feel like going to anything and you do the absolute minimum, I mean, Ben Cleveland, in my opinion, could be a Pro Bowl guard. Sounds like he doesn't give a shit. So he's never really played in Baltimore. He's one of many examples of guys that fall to the wayside. They like what football brings them. They don't care. It's not really for them as a long-term thing. And that's the question with Walter Nolan. If he is, I think of him like a smaller Jalen Carter. Honestly, I think they have a similar skill set and he's less powerful, but also a little skinnier and can shoot gaps a little tighter at times. Don't think he'll be quite that good, but I think he's incredible. I think he's an incredible penetrating pass rusher. I think you can coach him up against the run. There's a lot of good players in that Ole Miss defense. Love the tape, love the player. If the Ravens were cool with him, I would be like, oh, wow, okay. They ventured out. If he slipped because of that.
If he falls, like, I mean, there's no way in retrospect that if they had known anything even close to, they definitely, I'll phrase it like this. If they had done their homework on the idea that Tim Williams was going to fall to the 3rd round, they probably wouldn't have even taken him in the 3rd round, but they probably just thought, oh, he's not even going to be there. And then it's like, oh, wait, he fell. We might as well just take him. And it doesn't work out for all the reasons we're talking about.
Right. Certainly. So there you go. That to me is the Walter Nolan story, the character concerns, those kinds of things. I think a team like the Bengals could really use someone like that. Sounds like he is not sliding and he will go high. But if the Ravens took him, it would be bye.
Zierlein's got him round one or two, John Franklin Myers as the comparison. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he will actually go high, but Zierlein seems to think it's possible that he'll slide. Yeah, we'll certainly see. I mean, there have been guys, and listen, if he falls into that 2nd round, you got to know Howie is going to be all over that. He's just going to jump up and grab the buzzy guy who's got the concerns and take the risk on him, and it'll probably work out great. 4th name on the list here is one that I have seen quite a bit, and that is Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman, Alabama. I'm guessing you like this one.
Yeah. It was interesting. I think it was one of the dudes that does the deep zone. It's Mike Crawford, Kerry Stevenson, those cats. I think it might have been Kerry who was tweeting about, or no, I think it was Chris actually. Chris was tweeting about how like it's interesting. People didn't want Linderbaum because he's too small or he's not, he doesn't have the anchor, things like that. And then Tyler Booker's on the other end where it's like, oh, he's not
6'5", 321, 34.5-inch arms, 11-inch hands.
He's a combine, like a harvesting combine.
A harvester, yeah.
Yeah, he's an absolute harvester.
Oh, NFL comp. Can you guess who the NFL comp is from Zierline? I F that B up.
Kelechi Osemele, because you're asking me.
Close. Sorry,
Marshall Yanda.
Johnny Simpson.
Okay, all right. It was close in the other direction. Yeah. I was like, it's got to be someone. I see that, but I think he's just a little more technical than that.
You can tell Lance is like a little gun shy about, which I like, because like you watch these NBA drafts and the comps are like, oh yeah, this guy is going to be Tracy McGrady. This guy is going to be like, Russell Westbrook. Like you gotta be careful with your comps.
We know Lance. He's making style comps. It's not production always, but it's just like, what have you seen? What reminds you? It just looks familiar. Thor Nystrom does like 1,000 comps a draft season. His are always sick, but Booker, I think, gets over-analyzed, like he's too stiff to play in Monken's offense. I don't think that's the case. I think he is a high, quick floor, sturdy blocker. He knows what to do. He's competent. Not going to be an issue. He's going to have you good in pass pro. It makes sense. I think him and Malachi Starks are probably the two most mocked players I've seen to the Ravens over the last month. I think it would surprise no one if that was the pick. And I would give it a draft grade. I would give it a 2 thumbs up. Ebert, I'm giving it 2 thumbs up. It's fine. I get it. Gives you another quick player on the offensive line, and it just doubles down into a commitment that you want to give Lamar Jackson everything he needs. I don't think anyone would bat an eyelash anywhere as like an average Ravens fan or just someone who's a typical consumer of Ravens content. Hey, they took an offensive guard. That makes sense. Falele was a weak point at times, and they struggled at left guard a ton. So let's go get an Alabama guard that has a shitload of starts under his belt and will be ready to play.
It would just make so much sense from a historic perspective, from a needs perspective, and it seems like he's kid with a good head on his shoulders. He could come in and maybe start for me on day one. And for people talking about how slow Booker is, I get it. We've got a comment here from Jean or John saying he's slow as molasses. I would direct you to one Dan Falele, and it can't get much slower than that. Gray Zabel, offensive tackle out of North Dakota State, 6'6", 312, 32-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands, 6.34 from Zierline, will eventually be plus starter.
Yeah, so Brandon Thorne has Booker ahead of Zabel by a hair in terms of grading. The negatives for Booker were that he has below average foot speed. From Brandon Thorne, he says for Zabel, I think he said arm length, the way he plays with length, he'll get stacked, I think he said, on blocks. And I think there was a third. Let me see if I can find it. I think I had it up here. Struggles to consistently protect his outside edge at tackle. Would be a nice pick, versatile for the Ravens who don't need a tackle right this second, but in the event of injury or in the event of whatever, could use someone that has a lot of tackle experience.
I really like the idea of some insurance for Ronnie Stanley. I'm glad they re-signed him. I think it was the smart move, but it just feels like depth there to begin with. I'm not loving it right now, and I like the idea of getting a guy who could come in and potentially be, I'm not going to say groomed, but brought up to replace him at some point. That'll be nice.
Definitely. I think that Zabel would be someone that is borderline instant, competent, about as competent as you can be as a rookie. In the run game, think he takes good angles, think he has good hand placement, think he understands the concept, the point of the concept. He probably feels better on the inside, which is what everyone says about literally every offensive lineman every single year and drives everyone insane.
He'll start as a guard, yeah. He'll figure it out,
He'll figure it out as a guard. The tackle experience will help him at guard. So sure, that can be there. And his issues in pass pro were getting cornered. It was the bendy quick off the line, but that doesn't happen to you as a guard. So that's why that often is said. I don't know. Sure. I'll give it a buy. It feels like if the Ravens like him, I would give them the benefit of the doubt, and it would be their highest investment at a guard type player in quite some time. So I would feel lukewarm on it, but I'm not throwing up any alarms if they take him. He's mobile. It would make sense for Monken getting someone who can get out in space in the run game, especially can work to the second level. So I think he'll be a fine starter.
Yeah, that's the thing that we got to remember is they just really do not seem to value these interior line positions very much in the draft. Obviously, Linderbaum, an exception to that, but very much an exception in many ways. He was, kind of a unicorn in that position, and they had the Iowa connection that made sense. Those are, two interior line prospects. So Bears mentioning that it might not totally be something they prioritize in a way that we do. And I'd love to see them build up just a shit-kicking offensive line. I think they're off to a good start right now. And I'd like to see some more youth along that interior line, but we'll see what they do. Next up, Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of Kentucky, 5'11", 31-inch arms, 183 pounds, will eventually be plus starter per Lance Zierlein.
When you look at his measurables, it feels like he plays more physical and longer than that. He likes to get in dudes' faces. He can fly. Started a good bit of games. I don't think he was a super high recruit coming in, if I'm not mistaken. He was probably a 3-star, 2-star type dude. Ball skills out the ass. I don't know. I didn't watch a ton of him. I watched a good bit of Kentucky, but he was definitely a strong point for them throughout this season. People always say his 40 didn't match the play speed. Sure, it rarely does.
He ran 4.28 for context, and play speed in the SEC. I feel like that's kind of pretty good comp.
Exactly. So I think that he's a starter. I think he's got ball skills. I think he needs refinement at the stem, but he's physical. He has the the will in the run game. He wants to end plays. He wants to run things down. It's a physical press corner. However, the Ravens, when they go first round corner, typically do like Wiggins. There was one physical thing missing. It was weight. With Hairston, he's under 6 feet. He doesn't have long arms. He plays with good length, but he doesn't have a long wingspan. Really crushed the combine a ton, but I think he could certainly be a versatile corner that can play to the Ravens' idea of positionless defense a bit. I like Trey Amos better for the Ravens. I think that's the easiest way to put it. So I will sell this one if Amos is on the board.
Okay. Next up, Landon Jackson, edge out of Arkansas, who Zierlein has as a second-round pick. Does say eventually could be plus starter. NFL comp Logan Hall with the measurables at 6'6", 264, 33.25-inch arms, 10-inch hands, 4.68 40-yard dash, 40.5-inch vertical jump, 10.9 broad jump.
I struggle with him. Senior Bowl looked horrible to me. Very lacks creativity and lacks fluidity as a rusher. However, I could see him being like Tavis Robinson. I could see him being that type of dude where I don't know. He tested he's a very difficult eval for me. I don't like what I saw on tape. I don't like what I saw in the Senior Bowl. I think he is a motor guy, a physical guy, he likes to lock horns but it's just like it's a big pile of dust with no actual impact. Like it feels like he's like ripping around in a pile, but he doesn't actually.
Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
A little bit. I think he's physical as a run defender. I think that he has power, but it feels like there's a ton of wasted motion, and I don't know how much smoother it will get quickly. In the first round, I'm giving absolute poo-poo 2 thumbs down. Landon Jackson. Don't like him a lot. I'm not. He's the antithesis of a my guy. Someone I'm fading really hard in this class, to be honest.
Hey, there's a bubble. Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle, Texas.
He's smooth, man. He's smooth, and I think I forget which account, one of the accounts I love was talking about it. He checks all the boxes, and he gets shit talked for not being perfect because he was a highly regarded prospect, highly regarded recruit, if I'm not mistaken. Checks all the boxes. I think he's gonna go high. I think he's fluid. People, it's the same thing we just said. Some people project him at guard, but he's a battler. He kind of reminds me of Ronnie Stanley a bit. Actually, now that I think about it, he has that passive finesse, technique. Those are his calling cards. He's solid in the run game.
Peter Skoronski, Christian Darrisaw comps. That's the first time we've seen a player comp to two different guys.
I like that. I like that. Darrisaw may be a little more powerful, but yeah, he's a pedigree tackle, and I think he's getting poo-pooed in the media and in draft Twitter, things like that. But I think he's gonna be a fine tackle. I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. Smooth. I'm trying to think like Charles Leno, but like better than that, is another one that comes to mind. He just gets the job done, man. Ronnie Stanley, aside from 2019, gets the job done. He's solid. You trust him. He's a left tackle. People project him at guard. There's like one tackle. The top two tackles, Will Campbell, Armand Membaugh, both getting people vastly saying to move him inside.
It's like it's a helmet comparison, but I feel like that's part of the reason Connor Williams didn't go in the first, right? Didn't he go in like round 2 or something? Like,
Yep.
People overthink these guys a little bit. And he wasn't great, but he's a solid player. Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon.
Another finesse guy. So I'm buying Banks for the Ravens. I'd buy Banks all day. I think he would fit really well at guard immediately. Connerly, I don't know.
33.5-inch arms, 6'5", 311. McShay has Raiders taking Banks.
McShay's been getting frisky since he's not on ESPN. He's getting a lot more against the grain, a lot less groupthink stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
Connerly was a really, really, really highly regarded recruit. I believe he was a 5-star. He mirrors really well. He's fluid. I think he's a little more of even in day. I think Banks is a little more like everything is balanced a bit more. Connerly, I think, is very, very, very quick feet, very finesse style. He's athletic. He's a basketball playing type tackle. Not going to be a people mover in the run game, especially early, but very rarely are players. And that is one of the things I think you have to develop in the NFL. You're going to have to eat glass. It's something that NFL offensive line coaches are happy to work out. You would rather take someone who is quickly capable in the pass game because that is your break glass in case of emergency. Your I can't play you is not because of the run game. It's because of the pass game. So that can be built up. He's technically sound enough as a run blocker. Banks, I would say, is like a little bit of a basketball player. Connerly is a basketball player. He is fucking long, quick, fluid, can mirror really well. He can guard in the post. Like, he's an elite post defender. So if he were to slip, if he's the pick at 27, I'm giving that thumbs up as well. Banks and Connerly would both be absolutely fine with me.
Yep, absolutely. And I also like the note on him here is that 2022 as a freshman, he played in 13 games as a reserve and on special teams. Then he started 28 games in a row, all 14 each year for his next 2 years. So I kind of like that availability, best ability at times. Hot one for us here. Safety, Nick Amenwari, South Carolina.
We talked about him a couple months ago. I wish I went and watched him more, and maybe he puts my foot in my mouth. I think he's going to be I think he's going to be what people think Malachi Starks is going to be. I think he's going to be a nice, consistent split safety. The Kyle Hamilton shit, the combine shit, I think is not who he is as a football player on the football field in shoulder pads. I think he is a careful, calculated, smart safety that is big and can run the alley a bit. He is a sound tackler, but it's like, oh shit, this guy's Cam Chancellor. No, I don't
Funny note here. I remember tweeting out after Hamilton got drafted when he was at the combine, he was about to run the 40. And as he was doing that, the big board, the Jumbotron projected his comparison as Cam Chancellor. Then he ran the 40 and his comparison changed to Jeremy Chin, which Hamilton got a kick out of. I'm seeing here Zierlein has compared Emin to Jeremy Chin.
I like that. I like that. Body type wise, I like it. Combine wise, I like it. But I do genuinely feel, I think my boy, excuse me, it was Corey Giddings who did it on Bleacher Report, said he likes him as like Divine Diablo. I don't know. I think he plays more safety than that. I think we're getting insane with safety prospects not playing safety, like playing too high safety, playing deep third. Yeah, I think we're getting a little nutso with it. And I like Emin playing traditional safety more than I think the media does, and I don't see him as big of an impact guy out of playing safety in the box. I think he sorts through traffic. He gets downhill. He's a good tackler. And the other thing to consider, safeties don't always just play safety. I've said that 10 million times. You're going to play in the slot. You're going to play in the box. You're going to rotate. You're a jack of all trades as a safety. So I don't like him in the first round for the Ravens that much. I'm not full fade on him. I think he's a nice player. He kind of reminds me of the Melifonwus a long time ago. He does have cool ball skills. I think, processes and IDs, routes, and quarterback tendencies well. Tested a little more insane than he plays like. But he's huge and he tested well. And, we always talk about Jake, the dog adjacent house cat. I think he's dog adjacent. I don't think he's a dog. I think you can get more out of him. I don't think he's a house cat, but I do not think he, at this point in time, is a DAWG dog.
He might be an alley cat, or he might be a pup.
I like alley cat. I think he's feral. I think he's a feral cat, alley cat. I like that.
Okay. Arante Ursary, offensive tackle, Minnesota.
Probably one of the top guys I've studied the least of, but checks a lot of boxes. Again, I will fanboy defer to the Ravens. If they were to take him, then I would give them the benefit of the doubt if they took him in the first round. He's a big fella, long wingspan, good size. Minnesota's offensive line has a very balanced scheme. And the way that they work, I think, lends itself to playing quickly in the NFL and especially in the run game. I wouldn't love it, but again, I haven't watched enough of him, so I would love for the Ravens to take him to be a good player, and for people to come back and say Spencer didn't love it. So that would be perfectly fine, but I'm precursing that with.
I think we're due to do some content around these guys too. Maybe we'll do an episode on each of them where we dive into it and what we like, what we don't like, and that'll give us a little bit more of a stamp on what we think. And then when we go into this year, we can kind of look back on it a little bit. Comp was Marcus Cannon there from Zierlein, which I like the sound of that, but we'll see about the scheme fit.
Yeah, I think he's just like. Again, didn't watch a ton. I watched a lot of clips on him. I watched, I think, one game of him. I think that he is fine. I think he is a capable average tackle in the NFL, and that's what Marcus Cannon was.
James Pierce Jr., Edge, Tennessee. Name that's already come up.
He, for those who aren't watching, I'm doing dinosaur arms. He reminds me that he rushes with the dinosaur arm Clavon Chason thing more than anyone I've ever seen.
Can you guess the Zierlein comp?
Is it Clavon Chason?
No.
Adafe Owe.
Yes.
Okay. I see that. Really good get off. Really explosive. Apparently literally didn't go to practice, would sit in his apartment and not go to practice and get high. Would play 2K, rip the bong, I never did that. Oh, that's not something I ever did in college.
Yeah.
Not show up my
far be it for me to, judge anybody.
Oh, I never skipped class and got high and played 2K. I was never paid millions of dollars, but he is dynamite. Like he could come in and immediately go get you a couple just get off sacks. I'm not saying he's a 10 sack guy instantly. Apparently just did not show up to practice. Does not sound like a Raven at all whatsoever from what the Ravens like. Really fucking fun to watch. play football. Really fucking fun to watch play football. So explosive, finisher, as opposed to Shamar Stewart. Got sacks. Part of the biggest. This is going to be some brilliant insight for you. Part of the biggest part of getting sacks is getting the sack.
It's a little Trent Dilfer. You cannot lose games in the NFL and still win.
Exactly. So when you go look at the successful edge rushers, they got sacks in college.
What conversation have we been having around the player who we just read that he was compared to here for 4 years?
And that's the thing. Owe, I think, is an incredibly hard worker who, fuck everybody, had a 10-sack season in Baltimore just now after getting 0 sacks his final year at Penn State. But I don't know. We mentioned Tim Williams, and James Pierce has a totally different build and is way more functionally strong, I'd say, as a complete player than Williams, which makes him a much better prospect. Rocket ship, like, just get off. And I'll always defer back to J.J. Watt and lots of other pass rushers who say get off is how you get sacks in the NFL. Like 80% of your sacks are either get off or clean up. So he has it. We have my boy Judge here in the comment, freak athlete without the bend. I don't say he has no bend. He gets his shoulders around. His hips are a little locked. It's not bendless, but I was really excited about him until basically the character stuff came out. Now I'm like, I just don't think the Ravens take him based on reports on him at all.
Yeah, and it's like, you want to be able to get sacks. I'll tell you about a guy who's never had 10 sacks in his career. That's Jadeveon Clowney, great pass rusher. I don't think he had.
There's a player in this class who I think my best possible comp maybe in this class is Jadeveon Clowney Jr. as an NFL player.
I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we come across him. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, Buck Tech, Ohio State Buckeyes.
Simmons probably would be the best pass blocker in this class, if I had to say that overall, just out of all the old linemen here. And his downsides are that I don't know how to put it. He doesn't like to like re-engage. He doesn't like to like admit defeat, like lose a battle within a play to win a war. He kind of will ride whatever his initial set was or whatever his initial idea was to completion no matter what. He's not very creative as a blocker. Blocking doesn't need to be very creative though. It doesn't. Like it can be, and that's cool. It comes to mind of like, okay, does he get out in space on screens and pummel people like Trent Williams? Like, we always look at highlights of a lineman the night they're drafted, and it's like, ooh, this guy ran out 40. Like, how often does that happen? So I'm saying something that is uncommon and not needed to be good, very good, maybe even great. Quick, like we said, Banks and Connerly were like basketball players. Simmons could play basketball, but he is a football player. He feels more stout. He feels like the aggression and violence of the sport with his hand usage and in the run game are also very strong, in addition to being a loose and fluid mover as a gigantor offensive tackle prospect to play in the National Football League. So don't think he's there. I don't think Membau's there. The rest wouldn't shock me that we've talked about. Banks wouldn't shock me if he's there. And any other offensive line we talked, Connerly wouldn't shock me if they're there, but 2 thumbs up for Simmons.
Yeah. That would be nice if he was there. NFL comp DJ Humphreys, worth noting that he did tear his patellar tendon this past October, missed the final 10 games.
Yep. And I think Shefty tweeted just today that his recovery is going great, so on and so forth. But I mean, that's what Shefty fucking does.
That's his agent. Yeah, that's Simmons' agent talking to Shefty.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even he's probably still going to be well worth the investment. But
if he's good to go, I think he's the best rookie starter in this class. If he's good to go for camp of the linemen, of the offensive linemen.
I like that. At 14, we're officially making the turn here with a name that has been mentioned multiple times. And that is Malachi Starks, safety out of the Georgia Bulldogs with Kirby Smart in his visor.
Malachi Starks, I think, is the most mocked player. Like I've said, it's him, Izraku, and Booker. And Starks is just he reminds me of Javon Holland. I think he's a playmaker. I think you move him around. I think that he isn't a Kyle Hamilton allowed 0 touchdowns last year. Malachi Starks will allow touchdowns. Like, balls will get thrown over his head. It's not because of, I don't even know how to correctly put these words together. He's really solid in every aspect of coverage, but he's not perfect. I know Bleacher Report has him as like the 3rd player in the class. Fuck no. I don't like that. But I would love the Ravens to take him. I think he's a nice player. I think that he has the balance. That's why I like Javon Holland. I think he has the balance of fluidity with his hips, balance of processing. He can tackle well. He's physical, has good ball skills, run support, generally playing safety and playing in the box in the slot. Can do all of those things at a solid baseline. I just don't find him to be a scintillating watch very often. I don't find him to be blowing my mind. He is not a my guy. I expected him to be. Make some crazy catches. He's smart. Again, balance. I'm just going to stand on that Javon Holland comp. I think he could be a very productive impact type player that maybe has a couple all-pro type seasons. I don't see him being a generational safety or anything. I know some people really high on him. I like him. I think he's a good safety. I think he'll be a good football player. I think he'll have a second contract in the NFL, maybe even a big one. But yeah, he's good. Good prospect. I like him. In the 20s, absolutely. To do 2 thumbs up. Bye.
Yeah. RAS is actually a little it's a little lukewarm on him, which is interesting.
What does he have, like a 6 or 7?
7.78, but it's like the composite size grade is okay with some red in there. Composite explosion did not qualify. 3.39.
What did he run? I don't even remember. Low 4.5.
A 4.5. Yeah.
He ran a 4.5 flat. He actually had a way better 40 than people thought he was going to have. Yep.
Yeah. 6'1".
Yeah, and again, I don't give a shit. I mean, it's fine. 40 is fine. Rolling 20, more important. I haven't looked at it. Yeah, I think he'll be good, dude. I think he'll be a good, solid, smart player who could, it's just the question. If I met with him throughout this process, if I talked to all the coaches, got all the actual intel, and I know this kid just fucking loves it, and he's going to love it as much or more than anyone I draft, and he's going to be in, studying, leading, he could be Harrison Smith. He could be a very good safety, very, very, very good safety in the NFL for a long time. I always walked away wanting more. Part of that might be that he was a 5-star. He played for Georgia. I remember the highlights, the big interceptions. He has that one high point down the sideline. He can play man coverage really well. I just felt like, okay, yeah, he was good. Yeah, it's absolutely fine to take him. I would take him. If someone takes him at 16, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But I think, like I said, I think Bleacher Report, I'm like their 3rd highest player. I didn't see that at all. Which that's what everyone. Good for Bleacher Report. Fuck me. Good for Bleacher Report. They're standing on business and having an out of groupthink take. So good for them. Screw me.
Absolutely. 15. I don't know. Is this one worth discussing? Mike Green out of Marshall, edge.
We already brought it up. We already talked about James Pierce. I think Mike Green's better than James Pierce. I think that he is a awesome player. He had some DV charge at Virginia.
Allegations, nothing.
Allegation, yeah, pardon me. I don't know what to do with that. That's not my wheelhouse, so I don't know what to say about him. But on tape, fantastic.
Yeah, he seems like a great player. He was mocked to them early on in the process. I think before people were kind of hip to all the off the field stuff, alleged off the field stuff. What I'd say is I feel like the 0 tolerance policy has kind of come under some scrutiny here.
So either get rid of it or double down.
My prediction is rather than leaning into that, they're going to double down on it and try to like prove themselves to be squeaky clean. Just knowing them as I know them, I feel like that's going to be the case, and this guy is not on their board. They've already said, I think at the Liars Luncheon, that like 15 guys have already been taken off. It would shock me if Mike Green.
He's definitely one.
Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas.
See, this is where I might get myself into trouble. I'm probably going to take Barron over Starks. They are different. Starks is a true safety. I think Jahdae Barron is a misfit toy as a prospect, but he leaves me with the desired wow factor, making plays that I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that shit. Probably should have put him in my guys. I actually kind of forgot about him when I was making that list earlier today. Smart as fuck, tackles well, makes the hard plays. Remember how I just said Malachi Starks is not a 0 touchdown. Like, he will fuck up. Like most people, Jahdae Barron doesn't fuck up. And Texas's defense, the elements of it leading to the NFL, I'm curious to see as they have really ramped up in the Sark era to being hyper productive and in the college football playoffs, all of those things, how their defensive players start to translate. They have a couple in this class getting back in, but I think he is at the forefront of why they were so good. Man, like Travis Hunter makes some plays as a corner that you're like, I like that shit. Jahdae Barron has that same thing. And it's the combination of the high caliber PFF's 2.0 player, whatever you want to call it, and the consistency. Is he going to play true safety? Probably not very much. Is he an outside corner? I don't know. Trent McDuffie comes to mind.
So he's 5'11". He's 5'11", 194, 29 and 5/8 inch hands, or arms, I should say.
Yes, short arms. Trent McDuffie, same exact thing. Trent McDuffie ran really well, under 6 foot, a little bit light, didn't have long arms. I thought Trent McDuffie was going to be a slot corner and not an outside corner. Jahdae Barron, it doesn't shock me to see him be the outlier in terms of length. But, man, a little bit of who did I love Jalen Petrie coming out a couple years ago out of Baylor. He was a huge my guy, huge Red Star guy for me. I see a lot of that. The playmakers there and the consistency's there. I saw Des King comp for him. I like that a lot coming out of Iowa. I like it. I think he can play man coverage more than people want to say. I think he could probably play more outside corner than people want to admit for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I really like Jahdae Barron, and that would be a sick pick for the Ravens.
Your boy Judge, he likes the Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I think they have like some inverse skill sets a little bit, but the result is very similar in ways. The really consistent high caliber play plus the highlight level plays are both there with both of those players, while they do have different shortcomings. Like, I don't know, I kind of like Jahdae Barron getting up in someone's face and fucking pressing them. That was Cooper DeJean's question mark. You know, he played off coverage zone at Iowa, but putting him on the field is a very good idea as a defense. It is a very good thing to have Jahdae Barron on your football field. If you go look at his stats, Sports Info Solution stuff, it's fucking nuts. Fucking nuts. EPA allowed, total points expected, nutty. Absolutely shut the fuck down at Texas. He was so good this past year.
He might be the nutty professor. Staying with corner, Siobhan Revel Jr., East Carolina.
Curious about the injury. I think he has as high of a ceiling at outside corner as anyone in this class. Absolutely. He looks prototype. Tall, strong, long, physical, fluid, in and out of breaks, ball skills, hits, checks every box. With that injury, obviously, is a huge question mark. So
ACL, for the listeners, he missed the rest of the year after playing 3 games with an ACL tear in practice, his left leg.
Yes, it's just the question mark. I mean, he was going to be a top 20 pick. He was going to be the highest picked Pirate in, I don't even know how long it's been since. He would have been a top 20 pick, I think, prior to that injury. So I know what people will say, like, oh, you know, the Ravens took a jobbo coming off of an injury. Achilles is a little different. ACL is more of a, I don't know. I was going to say like Tommy John in baseball. It's probably not even good enough. Like,
I feel like it's the other way around. I feel like Achilles is worse and ACL.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm agreeing with.
Yeah.
I'm saying like ACL is not that big of a deal anymore at all. Achilles is getting there. But ACL, it's fine. I mean, Jameson Williams. And I think Revel is kind of that elite level physical talent, smooth, physical in the run game and as a corner. If the Ravens took him, I'm all in on that. I like it. I saw Tariq Woolen comp on him. I like that.
Benjamin St. Just here from Zero Line, 6'2", 194, 32 and 5/8 arm. I mean, that's pretty sick.
He's pretty prototype. Yeah, he's pretty prototype. So it just depends on the injury, but if the Ravens took him, I'm cool. Thumbs up for that one.
Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama.
Woo! Do not get me fired up. Probably going to go higher than what the Ravens have.
Well, they got all these 6-round picks. They got to use them somehow. I will
I
trade
think
you.
he's just. I think Jahad Campbell. I'm probably going to look like a jackass here. I think he's just everything you want. I think he's everything you want in 2025 for a linebacker. He rushes the passer so well. He's a finisher, man. When I think a linebacker, like linebackers and safeties have to end plays. They have to physically tackle someone.
If you want to get sacks, you have to get sacks.
If you want to get sacks, you have to get sacks. Linebackers' job is to tackle people and put them on the ground at the end of the day. And he does it in exciting ways. Coverage, pass rush, complete player. I'm trying to think of a comp for him.
Trevin Wallace, does that do anything for you?
Who the fuck is that?
I don't even know who that is.
Trevin Wallace.
That's who Uncle Lance compared him to.
Who is that?
It's Trevin.
Wildcats? What was he drafted? Third round pick. I have no recollection of him at all. I'm getting old. I don't remember anything. He was drafted what? Last year? Yep.
Looks like it.
No clue. I have no recollection of him at all as a prospect. I don't know. I feel like Edmonds on the Bills when he was in his prime there. I mean, he's still been a good player for the Bears. I feel like I think I might have stolen that comp from somebody. Trying to think who, but not quite as thick as that. I think he's more explosive than that. I'll say it too. Like good Patrick Queen comes to mind as a pass rusher. I think that he is so versatile. I think good Patrick Queen pre Steelers Patrick Queen, that last year, that 2023 year Patrick Queen, like that's what I see on Alabama tape for Jahad Campbell. Such an explosive rusher, shoots gaps the way that like linebackers are. So if you are alert, alive, awake, that's how you play football. It's Jahad Campbell shooting gaps in the run game, diagnosing the play, and committing full confidence, not making mistakes, not just doing it because it looks like it's right, doing it because he knows it's right, shooting a gap because he knows the play, he knows the tendency, and knows based on his keys, that's where he's supposed to be. He plays linebacker the right way. He's solid in coverage. He has a good body type, especially in 2025. I think he's 6'2", 235-ish, tested well. What my guy, love it. Would love the Ravens to take him. Absolutely love.
Sounds great. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. Comp is Chris Olave here from.
Ooh, I like that comp. I'm probably a little higher. I was definitely higher on Olave. He was my number one receiver in that class. But I like I honestly just like that comp overall, and you could think of it like that. Olave also ran a ridiculous 40. Something's going on in the annals of NFL combine training 40 coaches and performance coaches in Twitter. They have big discrepancies with like the laser that the NFL draft uses at the combine. That, you know me, that's shit that I love.
Yeah. I've noticed it too. I mean, like some of these guys, like it's interesting. That's all I'm going to say.
There's some weird stuff about the lasers and the times and the speeds and all that. Olave also originally posted a 4.25 or whatever. It ended up getting adjusted to like a 4.39. Golden ran a really, really, really fast 40 this year.
Is what it's saying on the card here.
And to me, what I would say take away from his 40 time is when you watch the 4.2 guys, they run in a 99.999% straight line. They are running the shortest path possible. That is why there's the least amount of wasted motion. That translates to Matthew Golden's game. Maybe he's not a 23-mile-an-hour guy with the football in his hands, but his routes are efficient. He reminds me of Calvin Ridley a lot also, in the ability to just full speed flatten, like run, decelerate. I can't think of the right word. There was just a big wide receiver. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown was talking about it. It's not decelerating. It's like accelerating down is the way they like to think of it. Like you are putting effort into decelerating. It is part of your chain, your kinetic chain. I see a lot of that in Matthew Golden. I like the Olave comp. I think you can have a slightly less target heavy role. I think he's like he's 88% of Chris Olave to me. But Chris Olave also has 15 concussions and can't stay healthy. Golden can stay healthy. Maybe he can be just as productive, if not more. If the Ravens took him, depends who's on the board. I'm going to give that one a non sequitur I would need to see the board. I would be lukewarm there.
Interesting. Yeah, it feels like weirdly, wide receiver is not a huge need going into a draft for the first time in a while. Given that they've signed Hopkins and Bateman is locked up for another couple of years, and you've got Zay, but I don't know, man. I'd kind of love just sort of quadrupling down on it, because before you know it, Bateman's going to be gone, or Hopkins is going to be hurt, or, something's going to happen. So something to think about, as we saw last year. Jonah Savanaya, offensive tackle, Arizona.
I'm going to say hate.
I haven't seen that one before. So this is, by the way, I think this is a Cliff Brown article on the Ravens website, just so everyone knows.
Oh, I like that.
Credit.
I like that a lot. I'm going to say hate. I don't know. I haven't watched enough. He looked good. I'm going to revoke that hate. I'm going to be a sissy here.
You can pass.
Yeah, I'm just going to say pass. I need more info on him. I remember feeling super high on him in actual football season, and I feel like some weird things have made me go lower on him. But he's a big, strong boy. He's powerful. I guarantee Cole probably likes him a lot, if I had to guess.
Yeah, of course,
but maybe not in Monken's offense. I will say you do need to have some Samoan presence on your team to win a Super Bowl. You need to have at least 3 players with hyphenated last names. You need to have at least one Samoan. There's a couple key things that need to be checked. So that would be the big plus there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not familiar with this game, but I do like those. I do like that as a sort of a rule of thumb to follow. Speaking of big boys, I do like this guy, Trey Harris, wide receiver, Ole Miss, 6'2", 205 pounds. And when you see a guy like that, and you saw that he ran a 4.54, it kind of makes me kind of like him a little bit. It's kind of who's my guy on the Niners that I love.
Ayuk?
No, I don't like Ayuk. Famously, who's the other one?
Yeah, I was like,
the possession guy. No, the possession guy that's been.
Oh, what, Juwan Jennings?
Yeah, Jennings. Yeah.
I don't see those two lining up very much, but I like Trey Harris. He had some ridiculous yards per route run metrics. That offense is always one of the ones where I'm helmet scouting. Elijah Moore comes to mind in a way, more and more of a slot guy. Harris taller than that, but I just can't help it. Tested really well. Ran the 4.54, 37, 38-inch vertical.
38.
Broad jump, I think, was pretty good too.
10.5.
Looks right. I'm trying to think of a comp I would like for him.
Alex Pierce is what we're getting from Zierlein.
Alec Pierce?
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that a lot.
Pierce isn't that he's pretty slow, right? Or am I wrong?
No, Pierce is crazy fast. Crazy burner. Downfield. Trey Harris was super productive. I'm struggling with a comp here. I don't know. I think he's a balanced game. I want to comp him to Chris Chambers or something. I don't know. He's graceful. Very graceful receiver. When he's running and striding out, it looks pretty. It's like, that he's built the right way. He's athletic. He's got the right look of an NFL wide receiver.
Sound like Calvin Klein talking to Kramer. You're very lithe, aren't you? Very graceful.
Very live, graceful. Not a burner, as the 40 kind of says, but that's not the most important thing on earth. I don't think he's amazing against press necessarily, but Lane Kiffin talks about him, and Lane Kiffin says a lot of things, but Lane Kiffin talks about him like that's his prize boy, his sweet boy, his smart boy. I think he was a running rebel. I think he bought all the way in. I'm sure he's a great dude based on what I've read. I think he's very focused. I'll say alert, alive, and awake again for him. I think he knows a lot. Oh my God. Browns receiver, played for Tennessee. Chris Tillman. I don't think he's as big and strong as him, but kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Just smooth. Can work downfield. Smart against zone. Has a nasty little stiff arm on him. I don't like that. I wouldn't like it in the first round. I would love it in the second round.
Okay. Listen, hopefully some of these guys fall and either they move up or they're just available there. So it's good that we're going over all of them. Darian Porter, cornerback, Iowa State. Here's your Reek Woolen comp from Lance Zierlein.
I'm gonna have to pass. I did not watch him. Didn't watch him. Didn't watch a lot of Iowa State defense.
Yeah,
I watch their offense. I like their receivers. Jaden Higgins I like a lot, but
that's where Tampa came from, right? Teague Tampa. Am I remembering?
Yeah,
that?
I don't have much memory on Mr. Darian Porter. I know he's tall, long. I think he's way older.
He's like 6'3". So yeah, 6'3", 195, 33 and a half or 33 and an eighth inch arms. He was there for 6 years.
Yeah, I don't think he started until like last year too. I'm pretty sure he's like 25.
Yeah, it says played in a bunch of games like all these past years, but yeah, I guess like this looks like.
Yeah, he's 24 as of draft night. Played 970 special team snaps. I see here Zerline has long arms. Crazy. Yeah, Woolen makes sense. Apparently he hit 23.89 miles per hour, but he's very old. Very, very, very old. Took him a long time to get burned there at Iowa State. So I mean, first round, I'm giving thumbs down, but okay. I need to watch more of him.
Right. One that I have seen a lot of, Shamar Stewart, edge, Texas A&M Aggies.
So that's my Jadeveon Clowney comp. The sack numbers, hey, maybe they're never there, and to get sacks, you do have to sack the quarterback, but everything else is there, man. I think Texas A&M is a really difficult defense to project into the NFL. They asked him to play a lot of 4-eye. He's 285 pounds and ran a fucking 4.45. What the hell did he run?
Ran a 4.59. They're saying
4.59. I thought it was way better than that. What the hell am I seeing? 267 ran 4.59. I thought he ran way faster than that. Whatever. Still dropped 40 inches. 11-foot broad jump. All of those things. Wish he would have done a 3-cone. That would have been really nice. 84-inch wingspan. Just reminds me of Clowney a lot. And I think he's explosive. I think he shoots gaps. I think he's physical as fuck against the run. And I don't think he has that plan yet, but he just disrupts. He gets a ton of pressures. I give him thumbs up for the Ravens. I think he is a player that the Ravens would like to have on their defense and that fans would hate because he wouldn't get 10 sacks. So sounds perfect to me. Match made in heaven. I have seen that as a
push the Clowney thing from day one because everybody loved Clowney and he didn't get to 10. And like that was like a whole thing. I remember
Clowney did
with the Ravens, did he?
Yeah.
I thought he got to like 9.5 and it was like he was right there that he might have sat in that last week. I could be wrong.
I don't recall. Let's see here. What did Clowney have? Clowney had 9.5. Yep, you're right. So I mean, spot on there. As you like to say, Adonis. And Adonis is Adonis.
I saw a card from Granite in the I'm loving that from Zierline.
Those are all up your alley.
In the prime of his life, he should be swinging.
I think he's violent. I think he's overwhelming. I think in the run, you love him. In the pass, he's versatile as a pass rusher. You can move him down to a 2-eye. You can move him on third down. You can move him all around. I think the kid loves it. He loves it. Versatile. Zerline had that at Texas A&M. They called him the Menace. I feel like that wasn't really a nickname. I feel like that was like one coach.
It's like when you go on Tom Brady's like Pro Football Reference and they're like, yeah, his name was the Pharaoh. Like, yeah, I don't know whoever said that maybe once in the history of the world, but
one of my favorite things about him is his ability to pursue, change direction. Just feels like there's like I'll equate it to like the transition in a PGA Tour's driver swing. Like the transition feels like not laborious at all. It's almost like instant, just looks the right way. When he changes direction, when he's simply a run play, someone bounces a run on him or something, it's just instant on their shit. So I'll just stand up on the Jadeveon Clowney as a pro comp and what his career was like. I think we see that kind of ish career out of him, how much he weighs, how much power and force he's able to generate while also being that fluid and flexible of an athlete. I love it. I love it a lot. Another Raven is Owe. We talked about Owe a bunch on here for whatever reason, but Owe, he's got all of these traits. He can be a very good football player. Will he disappear at times? That would be what I would say. Shamar Stewart probably will disappear at times, but I still think he's a good player. I think you'll be happy to have him. I don't know if he's a superstar. I think it will take a lot of work from the right coaching staff and from himself to do it. But I like him a lot, and I'd be very happy with that pick at 27. Very, very happy.
Another guy that I've seen a lot of, Donovan Jackson, interior O-line, Buck Tech, Ohio State University.
Jackson and Simmons, obviously both very, very highly regarded. Jackson, an interesting case for Again, do you want to go be Eric DaCosta? Do you want to go get that type of offensive lineman that has that multi-pronged ability in ways? I don't know. I probably should have done more study on him alone, but a lot of it was me kind of gandering over at Simmons. 6'3", 317. I think he, again, has a lot of projections inside, checks a lot of boxes. All the reports on him is that he's a really high-level student. I think he had like a 3.9 GPA in college. Not as quick and fluid of an athlete as Simmons, I would say. But first-team All-American last year, All Big Ten. He missed the first 2 games. He started 31 games at guard and then filled in for Simmons when he had that patellar tendon at tackle and was outstanding. So I think that he is, again, another balanced offensive lineman. I'll say he's like the reason why this class is so deep. Like, he's just sitting there for you. Maybe at the end of the first round, he could be, end of the second round even. That has not been the case in, 7 drafts where you can get a player like him that's maybe a little later. Who knows? Maybe someone snags him top 30 or something. But versatile. Seems like he's smart. He, like I said, took over at left tackle after being a career guard and just, it looked right. And that shows a lot of what you want to see. Kind of in ways reminds me of Elton Jenkins out of Mississippi State.
Wyatt Teller, which I actually like the sound of that. I mean,
that would be fantastic. And again, just went and played tackle for Ohio State in their run and was awesome. So yeah, love it. I would be cool with Jackson. I would
just another one that I'm seeing a lot of, and I'm just like, yep, that would make a lot of sense without like knowing a ton about the guy. It'd be like, yeah, I could see it.
Who else we got?
Azarie Thomas, cornerback, FSU, Free Shoes University.
Has the traits the Ravens like. I don't think he's alert, alive, and awake enough. Florida State might be the reason for that. They have been dog shit, but has the traits. Senior Bowl, had some high-level tape, had some weird stuff. Tall, long, strong, has some fluidity. Could see him being a third-round pick that ends up being really, really good. Could see him fading into the background very quickly as well. So I wouldn't like that in the first round. Second round, sure.
Nick Scourton, Edge, Texas A&M.
Again, Texas A&M is just tough to freaking evaluate these guys into NFL defenses, but love another one. Would love him in the second round. Primarily an edge. Has a kind of he looks on tape so much bigger than he tested at or measured at. I see 6'2" and 6'8", so 3/4, 257, 33-inch arms, 81-inch wingspan. We have this in the chat. Reminds me of Upshaw. Upshaw was just a little bit more of actually weighed more. And it says here, Dane Brugler played at 285 pounds, but plans to stay at 265 in the NFL. So Bradley, you are more on point than you even thought.
He has to flip a car if he's going to pass that test. That's what Cupshaw did, right? He flipped the car.
Yes, he did. So I don't know. I kind of like, again, to me, it feels a little bit like AJ Epinesa, who I loved a couple years ago. You take this thickly built edge defender who can kick inside a little, and you're like, oh no, we're going to turn you into a thinner, leaner edge rusher, but it's not what your game is. So I don't love it. AJ Epinesa's turned out okay. I think he would have been better in a different setup than that. It seems like he wants to be more of a sack guy that has more of a chance for money. That would be a big contract. The 3 techs that don't produce a lot of sacks don't get paid like outside linebackers do. He's physical though, man. He will fuck a tight end up bad in the run game. He pursues hard to the ball. I believe he originally started out, I think he was a captain on Purdue. He was a 1-year Texas A&M transfer, had 10 sacks on Purdue. So fits what the Ravens like in that regard. Actually younger than I thought. I didn't realize he's one of the youngest players in this class. So again, him and Stewart, it's just that I didn't watch any of his Purdue tape, and I bet I would like him a lot more if I did. But I would give this 1 thumbs up, I guess, if the Ravens took him. He's the ideal like Ravens trade back to 35 and pick up a high 3rd rounder, and they take Scourton, and you're like, oh fuck, of course the Ravens got Scourton. That kind of dude. But yeah, I like him. I like Stewart both.
Last one, another edge. Michael Williams, Georgia.
Love, my guy. You look at Trayvon Walker coming out. I think he's a little more made to rush, instinctually ready to rush the passer a little bit more there, and not quite that level of, to say Adonis or Hercules for the 15th time on this episode, but he's still in that category, not quite to the level of Walker, but love Kirby Smart's defense. Love what he does against the run. I love the length. I love the physicality. He didn't test as well as you'd like to see, but Michael Williams, I think, is perfect, man. And I think he's perfect in the 20s. I would love that pick in the 20s. I think he goes a lot earlier because of Kirby Smart's defense, because of Georgia, because of how he was regarded as a prospect, and because of the tools and traits. But big fan. He's a my guy. Might end up, again, being another guy whose sack numbers don't get people as scintillated as fans like, but I think people that coach defenses would really love to have him. He was rotational. I think he only played like 30 snaps a game last year, but him and Walter Nolan were really highly recruited coming out. I think they were like the 3 and 4 after Luther Burden and Travis Hunter, if I'm not mistaken, in their class. Good sack production, not great. 5 sacks last year, 9 the 2 seasons before that combined. Second team All ACC twice, and freshman All America, SEC All Freshman. Super young. I think he likes it. I think he loves it. I think he wants some more of it, if I had to guess. I think Chuck Smith would love to work with him. And again, I think he would be able to come in. He's ready against the run, so I think he can come in and play a lot of snaps. Alex Williams played through injuries. Yeah, he had ankle. I think he had hamstring at one point. I remember he had some bad illness, I think, 2023 that caused him. Maybe it was just like flu or something. But the ankle. Still at 8.5 tackle for loss, 5 sacks last year. Took over games at times. And we're seeing these Georgia defenders look the part. I know that he really idolizes Myles Garrett too. He's loose. I think there's more meat on the bone as a pass rusher, but that's why you take him in the 20s if he's there. I don't think he makes it to the 20s, but love him a lot.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that was all we had for that article. Did we miss anyone here? I see Easy E is mentioning Donovan Izaraku. Is there anyone else that we should kind of touch on here before we close this out and make our prediction?
Izaraku has driven me crazy. He will win. He will get a sack. When you watch his tape, I honestly might have watched more of him than any other prospect in this class, aside from like some of the top guys like Travis Hunter. But he will get a sack. He will win. He will make a splash play. He will figure it out. I think he's really smart, but I think he has to play a more crafty game. He's not super explosive. He's smart in the run game, but he's not physically overwhelming in the run game. He will make plays crashing down the backside, but it's just, I very easily could see him just being a rotational player that's not a splash player. He kind of reminds me of Yannick Ngakoue as a pass rusher in ways. The get off is
that was Lance's comp for him as I pulled it up.
Wow. Here. Okay. I swear I wasn't cheating on that. It's because of the cross chop. The cross chop is filthy, and he is black belt certified. So that's why I have to say I like him at 27, because the hands are too good, and the combine measurables, the broad jump, the vertical jump. I think can't remember if he did 3-cone. I think he did, and I think it was good. I think it was in the 6s. See if that's on Zerline's page. If he did,
yeah, he's 6'9" 4.
That literally is perfect. So sub 7 3-cone, jumped well, good 40, good 10-yard split, has a sack production. You love that he stayed at Boston College. You love that he will win. He will figure out a way. So I'll give that one at 27. I mean, it's really, again, you got to forsake something at 27. You're not getting your pick of the litter here. So I'll give it thumbs up. Bleacher Report. My boy Matt at Bleacher Report gave me a lot of hesitancy on him, because a lot of the things I saw and questioned, Matt brought to the light quickly in his write-up. So I definitely recommend checking out the Bleacher Report write-up on him. He has him as Nick Herbig as a comp. He said he's a 7.4 grade, which to them is a high-level backup, potential starter. He has a 3rd-round grade. He says he'll be a third down rusher at first and needs to spend more time in the weight room before becoming a complete defender. He wins by setting up his pass rush move, stems inside or outside. He checks those boxes, though, for me. That's the thing. Matt Holder just glazes over that. He's like, oh, yeah, he can win inside, outside, and through you. It's like, that's really good. That's really, really good that he can do that. And Herbig is like his comp, and Herbig is a really good pass rusher as a rookie. And you just like the kid. He wasn't heralded coming out. I think he was a 2-star, 3-star guy, played at Boston College, ended up having insane production. I think, again, like you can coach guys up against the run. And he's kind of the I'll bring up Odafe Oweh for the 15th time. He's like the antithesis. Not as big, not as much of the Adonis. To say Adonis again, not as good against the run, but had incredible production, and he knows how to get sacks. To get sacks, you have to sack the quarterback. So love that. I could see him being like Ngakoue, but a little better against the run. And Ngakoue gets shit. He was fine against the run when he was cooking with gas. So I could see him being a really productive player, multiple 10-sack seasons, home run pick, or I could see him being a rotational player and never, getting past playing 35% of snaps, things like that, and being a little bit of a DPR, but that'd be fine. A couple other guys in the comments here. JTT out of Ohio State, love. Don't know why he's not getting taken in the first round. Would go crazy for him in the second round. One of my favorites. Jeremiah doesn't have Will Johnson or Walter Nolan in his final mock. Will Johnson, I don't get all that shit. He was hurt. I mean, maybe it's personal stuff, maybe it's interviews, maybe it's medical stuff. I don't know, but he was so disgusting at Michigan. So disgusting. It reminds me of Derek Stingley. We did all this bullshit with Derek Stingley. He had the foot. Oh, he's not blah, blah. He has a $100 million contract. He's one of the best corners in the league. I think Will Johnson's not. I would always like Stingley better. Stingley was my number one corner in that class over Sauce Gardner, but I think Will Johnson's a little bit of a similar story. I think Will Johnson's going to be a fucking stud. Nolan, again, just character shit, and that's it. So we covered a lot of the top 30 guys here. I guess we can get to like a prediction for who the Ravens take. We didn't talk Luther Burden, who I think is a sneaky one. He's been very
a lot of people low on him. Yeah, interestingly.
Yeah, and then there's some practice tape got released of him. I don't know. Maybe I think he ends up being a second or third round. My read is that he ends up being like a second round pick or a third round pick, and then being filthy in the NFL.
Somebody mentioned our guy. Who was our guy on the Bengals this year? Somebody kind of threw that out. I think it was Nate Tice.
Burton.
Yeah, Nate Tice threw that name out there, which is a little concerning. I think there might have been more with.
If that's the case, then he's fucked and isn't going to be good.
Yeah, which all alleged. I don't know, but just throwing it out there.
That would be, I guess, Missouri makes sense. I don't know if that's the case. Like disinterested is a word that's thrown out around him a lot, but he was the number one receiver in his class. So productive and so filthy after the catch. I think this might not be a good thing. I think he might have grown a little bored. Like he was at Missouri. They were pretty solid. He was the number one guy in his class.
Zierlein, I think he got bored with that offense. His playing style is like Jerry Jeudy, but with Amon-Ra St. Brown's hands and toughness. NFC National Scout.
I was thinking Amon-Ra St. Brown. I swear I have not even read that. Zierlein and I have been in lockstep. All right, maybe I should get down to Houston and bother Lance.
You should.
Egbuka, filthy. I love Ohio. JSN.
He was of all the college football I watched, he was probably the player that I was seeing the most. Just in those big games they had with like Penn State and stuff, like he was just always flying around the field. He was fun. They
coach him up there, man. He's going to be a good pro. There's a lot of rumors that the Steelers want him and want to get rid of Pickens. I think Shedur's going to the Steelers. I think you can sign, seal, and deliver that. I don't know what.
Well, he didn't go to Pitt, so you can't.
Yeah. If you can draft Kenny Pickett in the first round, you can draft Shedur Sanders. I like Shedur. Offensive line was shit. Does he need to work on things? Yes. I liked Mac Jones coming out. I see a little bit of Mac Jones and Shedur in ways. Playing with Travis Hunter certainly helped. And I will just say, just throwing takes out there before we give a prediction, Travis Hunter is going to be insane. I think Nate Tice might have been Nate did the Odell Beckham comp. I get that. The ball skills are once every 5-10 years. It's insane. He's so good at corner. I really do think he should play corner.
I think Nate said this morning on that pod that I listened to that, I think he should be a corner moonlighting as a receiver, but he mentioned the Odell Beckham comparison. I was like,
that's how good he is. That's how good he is. He's like Shohei, man. I really think he's like NFL Shohei, and he loves it as long as he's healthy. And I'll knock on wood for him. He seems like a great dude. The Dion stuff, some people like it, some people hate it. He was never an issue. He's been nothing but great. Had all that weird stuff with his girlfriend and all that weird shit going on. He just seems like a good dude, likes to do his thing, play ball. I'm excited for him to get to the league. I think he's my number one player in this class, bar none. Love him. I think Steve Smith was kind of giving him a little bit of razzing him a little bit about, if you start motoring your hands real hard, then it looks like you're going to sit down and it's a sell. And that's why you can't moonlight. You got to play one position. I was like, all right, Steve, you're fucking jealous. You couldn't play corner and receiver, dude.
I think my comparison for Travis Hunter is going to be Julian Edelman because he can play corner and wide receiver. Yeah.
Either him or Champ Bailey or Julian Edelman / or Cordell Stewart.
Troy
Slash himself.
Slasher. Yeah. The slash.
Cordell Stewart / Julian Edelman / Odell Beckham / Champ Bailey.
Troy Brown, the original for
/
Belichick.
Troy Brown / Cordell Stewart / So I love Travis Hunter. I want to put that stamp. I love the backs. The top backs.
Judkins. It was fun.
Love him. Love Henderson. Love kid out of Iowa. Love Omarion Hampton. Love Genty. Yeah. I think they're also fun. There's the Virginia Tech kid. I think he reminds me of A-Chain a little bit. I think he would be a nice buy in Dynasty if you've got a draft coming up, like right after the draft or something. So, yeah, man, I really like the backs. Prediction for the Ravens, or is there anything else you wanted to get into before we do that?
I think I'm good. We're running, hour and almost 2 hours at this point, so I think we're
prediction for the Ravens, man. 27's tough. Like I want to say Jahdae Barron, he'll go at like 20 though.
I'm gonna say Booker. I just feel like it's lining up to where these guards they fall sometimes. The need and the value and kind of the Alabama connection, I think a little bit. I'm gonna say Tyler Booker. That's my guess. It probably feel a little weird, but I'm gonna go against the grain.
This is tough. I think it's not because Booker and Starks and Eazy-E get mocked so much to the Ravens. I'm going to say it's not any of the three of them. I really don't think they'll take him more. I really don't. I don't know. Clearly, I feel like I have a strong read here. Josh Simmons. I don't know. I don't know. I feel awful about this one. I usually have something of confidence.
It's just it's a weird year.
I'll go final answer Derek Harmon. How about that?
Okay.
Final answer Derek Harmon out of Oregon.
First guy we talked about. I like it.
First guy we talked about. Last guy that the Ravens take in the first round of 2025. So there we have it.
They trade Owe to the Chiefs. They pick at 31.
Prediction. Oh, we got Deuce 1042 saying that right now. Owe gets traded. They draft a DB and an IOL. They take a receiver. They draft a kicker in the late rounds.
Do not draft a kicker. Just sign one undrafted.
Don't care. I just don't care. Just don't kick the football.
Right.
Extra points only. Don't care. So there you have it. There's some time. I know we didn't do a ton of pre-draft coverage like we typically do, but we'll go live. What do you want to do, Jake? You want to go live like an hour and a half before the Ravens pick or something like that?
Yeah, maybe halfway through round one or something like that. We'll shoot for that. We'll roll a little bit. We'll talk through the pick after it's made. Maybe we go live on Friday as well. I don't know if you have any plans. I don't think I do, so I can probably maybe chill and fire that up. I got to get you your teas, by the way, from.
I want them bad.
Yeah, so
I played some wild rounds. We got to play very soon. We got to play soon, me and you.
We do, yeah. Played at Timbers at Troy the other day on Good Friday,
where I broke my 90.
Delightful, yeah.
Did they finish the construction?
Which one?
On 2?
No.
The par 5?
No. I hit directly over that. I wound up just off the lip of the bunker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, was it a super short tee?
Yeah, they were all pretty short. Yeah.
The tee box was moved up on 2 on that par 5 still.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take it offline, but there you have it, guys. Jake has Tyler Booker. I have Derek. The bad weight, nasty weight, whatever it was, Harmon there. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the Ravens shock the world. I don't know. Like, just do something crazy. I don't know. Will Johnson? What if I actually crazy would be them trading up for Will Johnson? How about that? Trading up like 6 picks for Will Johnson. I could see that. Michigan man, Harbaugh, Jim sends his regards. Something like that. How about that?
Okay. I like that too. Yeah, it will be nice. I feel like these drafts of like, outside of the years where you're getting those extra first round picks, but you're still like losing guys for them. Like it's all felt pretty stock. I mean, we've actually called some of these picks in the past years, and I don't know.
I mean, we were on Bateman. We were insane on Bateman.
Yeah, we were all over Bateman. I mean, and then like, Zay Flowers, like that was literally the worst kept secret in the world, but they loved him. Like that came out during the Senior Bowl that they were like obsessed with him, and that wound up.
They wouldn't leave his side or whatever. He wasn't at the Senior Bowl. He was at the other one. He's at the Shrine Bowl, I think.
Shrine Bowl, yeah, glued to his hair is the phrase, yeah. Something a little, maybe get out of the Lars Ulrich. It's pretty straightforward, little stock. Like maybe get a little wild. That'll be interesting.
There we go. All right. Well, that's a show. We will see you guys tomorrow. I still love it no matter what, even if this is maybe a little bit of a less flashy draft, but
it's always a fun hang, just watching the guys getting picked and the guys who fall and kind of the human drama surrounding it all. I absolutely will always love it to death. So
100%. All right. Well, I think that does it.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in very much. We appreciate it. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on YouTube, like the video, comment on it, get that algorithm pumping for us as we get some real Ravens content going back through the bloodstream, which is nice. Like I said, plenty to go around this draft, plenty to go after this draft as we'll try to maybe break some tape down on these guys. Very exciting time. So if you liked what you heard as well, follow us on social media at Exit 52 Podcast on X and Instagram. I am at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Spenny at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. So you can find him there. And then I get one last plug here for our friends at Jimmy's Famous Seafood. We will not be in attendance due to just some, like we said, busyness and planning stuff. We won't be there tomorrow. But if you are looking for some place to hang, you can still get tickets at jimmysfamousseafood.events to the draft party. I think it's going to be hosted by Zay Flowers this year, if I'm not mistaken. So go ahead and check that out. You can find it all over their socials and stuff if you are looking for something to do. So until tomorrow night, we will talk to you guys and have a good day.
See you.
Arrivederci.
Really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir. Trust.
He's pretty
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir.
Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me close.